Hello. Uh, I am making this video to make a correction about my previous videos. Uh, if you have watched my videos, you would know that I am making comparison between MBTI types and role-playing game classes, and I was studying on ESFJ type, and I noticed that my conclusion that INFJ correlates to the cleric class in role-playing games or in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons settings is not correct, because this might sound funny, but I also likened INTJ to the mage class in role-playing games, and in role-playing games the sorcerer caster classes, the mage classes, have very low hit points, hit dice. For people who are not familiar with role-playing games, every class is like a profession, like fighter, mage, cleric, and every class has a hit die that they use to gain new hit points when they level up, and the one with the most hit die per level is the fighter, followed by clerics and rogue classes, and the one with the least amount of hit die per level is the mage. And I find it consistent with the INTJ's inferior SE function, which I correlate with physical aptitude. So that means INTJs have a low physical aptitude. So they would be a class with low physical traits in AD&D or role-playing settings, which are the caster classes, mage classes. So that's okay, but for the INFJ it should be the same, because INFJ also has a low inferior SE function, so INFJ should also be someone with low hit points and low physical aptitude. But the cleric in AD&D is a quite formidable character who can go into melee, go into physical fight if necessary. The cleric class has a relatively high hit die per level, hit point per level. So my correlation between INFJ and cleric seems to be incorrect. So I thought about this a little bit, and I noticed that INJs and I dominant types are cut off from society. They are eccentric people. They are not adapted to the mainstream society. And if we are to relate the intuition function with magic in role-playing games, and sensing function with swordsmanship, then that means the NI dominant types must be highly skilled at magic, and their dominant function being Introverted intuition must mean, in this context, must mean that they are born into magic. So they must be in role-playing game settings, they must be a class that has innate magic casting or spell casting abilities. So they might be like savants, some kind of savant caster, both the INFJ and INTJ. So if we associate NI with magic or change or innovation or imagination, NI dominant types must have a very huge reservoir of internal magic, and this should be an innate magic, inborn magic. That must be something that they were born with, not something that they learned afterwards. So that means the NI dominant types embody in the role-playing context must be a caster class, that spellcasting class that embodies or breeds magic change or magic or change for him or herself. So it must be their primary sustenance. Magic must be their primary mode of operating and mode of sustenance. Whereas if we are to compare this with the case of auxiliary NI types, these auxiliary NI types must be people who learn later on their life, who learn to wield magic. So they are users, the latter are users of magic, and they are educated casters, and they use the ENFJ and ENTJ use NI magic or innovation for some TE or FE kind of purpose. So they bring NI magic through their tertiary SE. They bring the NI magic into the SE realm. So they all overlap NI magic with the SE physical realm. That means their tertiary SE, ENFJs and ENTJs tertiary SE must mean that they have some charisma and some presence and agency in life, some kind of capacity to affect the physical realm, and they use their NI, auxiliary NI, to bring together innovation, magic, revolution or optimization into the physical domain. So they optimize existing TE or FE systems, the ENFJs and ENTJs. Whereas the dominant NI types, INTJ and INFJ, the NI magic for them is not a means for their objectives, but it's an end in itself for the NI dominance. So they are that is their primary or natural mode of operation. They are always in the magic domain or I don't know what to call it, but ethereal domain, and they are cut off from the society which is represented by their inferior SE. So that means the NI doms, INJs, do not have enough charisma or presence or agency in life to apply their NI magic or innovation or wisdom to the physical realm, and they cannot bring their magic to the masses, but the ENJs can do that. So in that sense, the NI doms seem to be some kind of savant casters who live in their ivory towers or wizard towers, isolated from society and occupied with their NI studies, magic or wisdom studies. So in ancient times, I guess wizard towers or towers like that were actually observatories that high science, advanced science was conducted. So NI domes in real life, in AD&D or role-playing game settings, I liken them to savant casters, but in real life they must be some kind of savant researcher type, not a leader like an ENJ, but a researcher of NI information and generator of NI information. So I think the INTJ in that sense should be some kind of arcane mage. I guess there is a class called arcane mage, or a sorcerer who does not need a spell book like other ordinary casters. Someone who does not need a spell book to cast spells, but can have innate magic spellcasting abilities, and NI in that sense can be likened to mana pool, whereas SE can be likened to vitality pool or hit point pool, and stamina, perhaps stamina pool in role-playing games. And the INFJ in that sense should be a caster, but INFJ's magic is also savant-like and innate magic, but INFJ's magic is more related to nature, I guess. So I found this class Hedge Wizard. I think INFJ fits quite well with the Hedge Wizard class. The Witch, no, sorry, not the Hedge Wizard, Hedge Witch class. Some kind of nature mage. So INFJ has someone like a good witch, whereas INTJ is someone, perhaps something like a neutral warlock or a sorcerer or an arcane mage. In that sense, the INFJ being a hedge witch, I googled some hedge witch images I will present here. And also there is this Helga character from the TV series Vikings, who is married to a trickster-like character called inventor-like character named Floki, and I guess Floki is an ENTP, whereas Helga, his wife, is quite like a hedge witch, looks like a hedge witch, and I think she is an INFJ, and she reminds me of Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter series. I think Luna is also some kind of a hedge witch. So I think Luna, I saw Luna typed as INFP, but I think Luna in fact might be an INFJ. This weird outcast character stereotype also fits with Yoda from Star Wars and Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. So I think they are also INFJs. Also, there was a cutscene in an old game called Thief. There was this Victoria character in that game, who is also something like a forest being, like a witch or fairy, something like it. And in that clip, she has always reminded me of INFJs. Perhaps she might also be an INFJ.
Me? Or
So,
the Slates? Or the Sycamore?
Just you.
I am not the enemy, Garrett, nor anyone here. Here is your enemy. Mechanists. It's no secret that they wish to destroy you, too. Hero that you are. Regardless, you will join us in our struggle against them.
Join you? Not really my first choice.
Choice? My choice is to avenge the death of a friend. You understand nothing of suffering and duty. Pathetic man fool. In one moment I could... The past is the past. Now we have an enemy in common. Even you must see that this is so.
I seem to have a lot of enemies lately. Anyway, you have matters well in hand.
It is true that I am powerful, but I draw my strength from this place. Where the mechanists are, I am not so assured of victory.
Pity.
I have no time for your vengeful thoughts and biting words. But be assured, Garrett, you are stronger with us than without us. We have been watching the mechanists for 3 moons. Pagan agents are posted in every sector of the city. Your report, Larkspur.
1 loss in the Old City, and 2 more in Dayport.
Sometimes enemies must join forces to overcome a more terrible foe. So tell me, Garrett, yes or no? Are we agreed to work together, sharing knowledge and skills against the mechanists? I put vengeance aside. The Earth keeps my promise for me. Now you have my oath on it. I'm cursed if I break the covenant. Now your answer.
I agree that...
Good. The Earth keeps your promise for you.
So what about the cleric? As I said, cleric is a divine caster healer class, and also the clerics try to do good deeds and gain followers, help people, or do whatever their deity commands them to, their philosophy, ideology commands them to gain followers. They try to expand their or export their religion to other people, take their religion to other people, but also they have quite some quite constitutional hit point, so they must be a MBTI type high in S also. So they have magic, which means they have intuition, but also they have some physical aptitude and presence in real life. So they also must have sensing function. In that sense, I think the ENFJ type is befitting of the cleric class. And for the INTJ ENTJ comparison, I will wait for the ENTJ video. I hope I will share that comparison in the ENTJ video in future. So that's all. Thank you for listening, and bye.